Biden, McCarthy reach tentative deal, raising U.S. debt limit for 2 years. U.S. President Joe Biden and top congressional Republican Kevin McCarthy have reached a tentative deal to raise the federal government's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling, ending a months-long stalemate. The deal would raise the debt limit for 2 years while capping spending over that time and include some extra work requirements for programs for the poor. "We still have more work to do tonight to finish the writing of it," McCarthy told reporters on Capitol Hill. McCarthy said he expects to finish writing the bill Sunday, then speak to Biden and have a vote on the deal on Wednesday. The work to raise the debt ceiling is far from done. McCarthy has vowed to give House members 72 hours to read the legislation before bringing it to the floor for a vote. That will test whether enough moderate members support the compromises in the bill to overcome opposition from both hard-right Republicans and progressive Democrats. Then it will need to pass the Senate, where it will need at least 9 Republican votes to succeed. There are multiple opportunities in each chamber along the way to slow down the process.
Weeks of negotiations, we have come to an agreement in principle. We still have a lot of work to do.
U.S. Commerce Secretary, U.S. won't tolerate China's ban on Micron chips. The United States won't tolerate China's effective ban on purchases of Micron Technology MU.0 memory chips and is working closely with allies to address such economic coercion, U.S. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo said Saturday. "These target a single U.S. company without any basis in fact, and we see it as plain and simple economic coercion and we won't tolerate it, nor do we think it will be successful." China's cyberspace regulator said May 21 that Micron, the biggest U.S. memory chip maker, had failed its network security review and that it would block operators of key infrastructure from buying from the company, prompting it to predict a revenue reduction. Raimondo also raised the Micron issue in a meeting Thursday with China's Commerce Minister, Wang Wentao. She also said the IPF agreement on supply chains and other pillars of the talks would be consistent with U.S. investments in the $52 billion CHIPS Act to foster semiconductor production in the United States. The investments in the CHIPS Act are to strengthen and bolster our domestic production of semiconductors. Having said that, we welcome participation from companies that are in IPF countries, so we expect that companies from Japan, Korea, Singapore, etc., will participate in the CHIPS Act funding, Raimondo said. Ken Paxton, Texas House votes to impeach Trump ally. Texas Republican-run House of Representatives has voted to impeach State Attorney General Ken Paxton, a Republican, who is accused of bribery and abuse of public trust. The GOP-led Texas House of Representatives impeached State Attorney General Ken Paxton on Saturday, a sudden, historic rebuke of a fellow Republican who rose to be a star of the conservative legal movement despite years of scandal and alleged crimes. The vote triggers Paxton's immediate suspension from office pending the outcome of a trial in the state Senate and empowers Republican Governor Greg Abbott to appoint someone else as Texas' top lawyer in the interim. Final removal would require a 2/3 vote in the Senate, where Paxton's wife, Angela, is a member. The 121-23 vote constitutes an abrupt downfall for one of the GOP's most prominent legal combatants, who in 2020 asked the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn President Joe Biden's electoral defeat of Donald Trump. It makes Paxton only the third sitting official in Texas' nearly 200-year history to have been impeached. Paxton has been under FBI investigation for years over accusations that he used his office to help a donor and was separately indicted on securities fraud charges in 2015, though he has yet to stand trial. Until this week, his fellow Republicans had taken a muted stance on the allegations. Texas top elected Republicans had been notably quiet about Paxton this week. But on Saturday, both Trump and U.S. Senator Ted Cruz came to his defense, with the senator calling the impeachment process a travesty and saying the Attorney General's legal troubles should be left to the courts. Free Ken Paxton, Trump wrote on his social media platform Truth Social, warning that if House Republicans proceeded with the process, I will fight you.
Fear not politics.
Latest in Ukraine, Zelensky proposes massive sanctions against Iran. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky Sunday introduced a bill proposing additional sanctions against Iran for 50 years. The draft comes after Russia's Iran-made massive drone attack against Kyiv overnight, the largest since the beginning of its invasion of Ukraine. Zelensky's chief of staff, Andriy Yermak, said Sunday the bill is a response to what Kyiv says is Tehran's weapons supplies to Moscow. The draft includes a complete ban on trade with Iran, on investments, and transferring technologies. If the bill becomes law, Ukraine will forbid Iranian transit across the Ukrainian territory as well as use of its airspace and freeze Iranian assets. Kyiv and its allies say Iran has been supplying Russia with arms, including hundreds of drones, since Moscow invaded Ukraine last year. Tehran rejects the allegations. Extinction Rebellion protest in Netherlands ends with 1,500 arrested. More than 1,500 climate protesters have been arrested by police in the Netherlands after blocking a Major motorway in The Hague. During the protest, organized by Extinction Rebellion, activists walked onto the A12 highway demanding an end to fossil fuel subsidies. Police fired water cannon to try to disperse the crowds, but many came prepared in raincoats and swimsuits. Most arrested protesters were released, but police said 40 would be prosecuted. Among those at Saturday's protest were several Dutch celebrities, including actress Carice van Houten, known for playing Melisandre in TV series Game of Thrones. She was arrested but later allowed to return home, Dutch news agency ANP said. Turkish President Erdogan wins re-election in runoff vote. Erdogan spoke to supporters after unofficial preliminary results gave him 52% of the vote, compared with 48% for his challenger, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu. I thank each member of our nation for entrusting me with the responsibility to govern this country once again for the upcoming 5 years, said Erdogan, who had been seeking a third decade in power. I would like to thank all our citizens who showed their will for the future, both for themselves and their children, by casting their votes in the elections.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel for news from all over the world.